needs double strokes, but you got tricks, right?
There you go.
Hey guys, about a month ago I did one of these videos that was all about critiquing my own playing. I had played through an etude by a guy named Combs, and then I just kind of talked through it. And I realized that my rolls beyond a certain point need a bit of work. There's a link to that video, I think it'll be up there. To deal with my rolls not being up to snuff, I hopped on the train and I went down to Paran to talk to my buddy Campbell Phillips. He's got really incredible hands. His chops are quite impressive because he is the director of the D2 drumline. He's done tons of stuff. Campbell Phillips is a bit of a legend and an all-around good guy in spite of his penchant for ridiculous hats. Although I can't really, talk. My hats tend to be quite silly as well. But I went down and I played a little bit with him on a drum pad, and he went, and then this happened.
So, what the hell am I doing wrong? Straight off the bat, first impressions.
Definitely in the left hand, I can see straight away the fingers are coming right off the stick, right? So that means you've got nothing to help assist the rebound, all right? So these top fingers need to stay on the stick. That's the first thing, just straight up technique. The other big thing that I'm noticing in that left hand with you, I don't think this is an original idea either, but it's not one that I hear many people talking about, and that's where we actually hold the stick in traditional grip. Most people sort of pick the sticks up in a pretty good place in match grip and they go, yeah, that's the balance point, right?
Yeah.
Then, when they go to play traditional, they take that same fulcrum point, which on here is the start of confidential beta sample, right?
What does confidential mean?
Confidential. So they put it there and then they just start playing from there. But that's too far up the stick, okay? If you look at the way the hand actually works in traditional grip, okay, what we're doing, we're rotating from the wrist.
Right.
Right? So what that actually means is if you just watch the stick through the air like that, the stick isn't pivoting back here in your hand. The stick is pivoting sort of like in here somewhere, right? It's like in the middle of your hand.
Right, so like...
Yeah, exactly. That's like the pivot point on the stick.
Yes.
I've never thought about doing that before.
That's gonna break my watch.
So that's where your pivot point is, right?
Right.
So that's actually where that needs to be, okay? So if you look at where you hold the stick on match grip,
Yep.
okay, you're holding on about the logo, the Ascension logo, right?
Right.
So that Ascension logo needs to be in the middle of your hand. That's your balance point.
Oh.
That's going to give you the leverage, the same amount of leverage that you've got in your right hand, okay? Otherwise, you've got reduced leverage because you're choking up the stick. You never hold it up here in match grip. Let's kind of reset your grip now. If you go to like a sort of ready to play position, and yeah, so now you're a lot further down. So now, ignoring the double stroke roll for a second, just play like some nice, strong, big singles for me.
Oh.
So see there?
It instantly feels better.
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm still going off of it.
You're still coming off it, right? So that's going to be a really hard habit to break. But what you need to do is train the thumb and this index finger here to work together to play through the stick. Okay, they're on there the whole time.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, so that looks weird.
Yeah, it's really different to what a lot of people are used to. All right, and that's because rarely do people think about playing big. Okay, obviously from a drumline background, I spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why this is developed for me. Most of the time, people find they're practicing playing small and like maybe a moderate height, but they're not practicing really big.
So they don't get mom in the other room going, shut up!
Exactly. If you've got that big technique here, then using that same technique down here, you get a really nice full sound. So a lot of the time when people are playing pretty much anything with drums, they think about how they hit the drum. They think about the approach to hitting the drum,
right,
rather than what happens after they've hit the drum.
Right.
And 99% of the time, exactly, right? So 99% of the time, what happens after is more important. So if I play one stroke there, and I let it open my fingers up, okay, I'm now ready to close those fingers to create a second stroke. So one wrist stroke opens my fingers, okay, close the fingers, that's my second stroke. So when I put that together in a double stroke, the trad hand, it's like, what do I do? How do I even get rebound out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not really designed for that. So I think the first thing to think about is, I don't know how much time you spent practicing nice, big, relaxed full strokes like this.
Yeah,
Or you think about that stick rebounding.
Yeah, 12 years ago? Yeah, lots.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's just the...
Yeah. Maybe I just got fat and old and lazy.
Yeah. So an exercise that I use for that a lot is a drumline exercise called double beat. Let's try this exercise. The counting is 1 E, 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Good. Don't think too much about that open close finger thing at the moment. Okay. This is. Give it that. See how full that sounds.
Yeah.
Whereas go back to how you're doing it before. Hear the difference straight away.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not much quieter, but it is less.
It doesn't have that. Yeah.
gusto.
Yeah. And it's the classic like that versus. That's the first half. Then we're going to do it on the left hand. Good. Then we're going to play those semi-quaver groupings or 16th note groupings for twice as long. Okay. So that's going to go, and we're going to play both hands together.
Yeah.
So let me play that whole section for you just really quickly. So it's 1 E, 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 E, 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 E, 2 and 3 E and 4 E 1 and 2 E and 3 E 4 and.
Right.
All right. And notice that like that wave that I'm getting there in my trad hand. Okay.
Right.
That's what's helping me get that height. I'm using this to help bring my stick up.
So you're using all the gears, really.
Yeah.
In your left.
Particularly in the left.
Like your shoulder is a hinge that's throwing your arm around.
Yeah, exactly. So let's give that exercise a go. We'll play it once together. I want you to think about leading with the bead rather than leading with the wrist, which is what you were doing before. And I want you to think about using these big muscle groupings.
Okay.
Right? 1, 2, ready, go. That happens every single time I teach this exercise. Everyone always drops out of crotchet early. For extra points down the track, practice like clicking over the top.
Right.
Alright, again, a pretty common exercise that a lot of people have played. Push the tempo of that and worry about the bounce out of the drum. So that exercise, as you get that fast,
Right.
okay, it's training both hands to approach it the same way. Okay, so now I know when I'm playing 2 notes in a row quickly, I know that both hands have a similar quality of sound.
Right.
They're rebounding at the same speed.
That was interesting there because when you went both at the same time, your elbows are doing the same thing, but like slightly off. But
Yeah, they're kind of but they're both
making the
working.
same motion from the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this is training, is getting them to sound the same. So I've never noticed that before. That's not something that I've consciously worked on. I guess it's something that's developed over time from doing double stop exercises.
Right.
Because I've been going, hold on, my hands feel different or my hands sound different. This is training me to balance them, and my arms are just, or whatever, has just worked out what to do through there. Now, obviously, if that's my tempo, my roll is only going to be... Right? Not a particularly quick roll.
Yeah.
Okay? Double beat can only take you so far in terms of working on your roll. But it's at least training you in the rebound and in the motions.
Right.
Okay? So the next exercise that I use a lot to work on the actual double stroke control is called chicken and a roll.
Okay.
Right? So it's chicken in a roll, chicken in a roll, chicken in a chicken in a roll, stop. And you can just keep building it up, okay?
Yeah.
So faster we get... Through there, okay, that's where these fingers really need to come into play and start working a little bit harder. But you can still see I'm using those big levers.
Right.
But that is probably the maximum tempo at which I'd use those big levers. From there, as I start to get faster,
Then it gets in there. Right.
Yeah. And the key as you get faster is to practice in the single stroke with the same technique that you're going to use in the double stroke.
Okay.
As much as you can, okay? So, as we get really fast in our doubles, we need to get to this like forearm pump territory, okay? Because if you start to try and use your wrists that fast, you're going to get more height here than it's possible to get on the double.
Right.
So you need to take some of the attack off the downstroke so that the second stroke can be stronger. Sorry, it's not going to make the second stroke stronger taking the attack off, it's just going to balance them a little better.
Yeah.
Right? So when I'm playing my singles, I'm already thinking about that technique. This is see there, I've sort of locked the wrists off. I'm now not using wrists at all.
Right.
So that becomes my technique through there. Or bigger. Alright? So what we need to recognize is different tempos require different techniques. And you have to work on each one of those techniques at both a, at a strong volume and at good heights with the bigger gears and lower down, so that we've got those different techniques in our hands. And then what we need to be able to do is use different ratios of those techniques. Okay? So if I'm going at this tempo, okay, there I'm still using a little bit of wrist, okay, but I'm starting to feel like I'm using the forearm pump a little. So I'm using different ratios of the slower technique and the faster technique to make it work at this technique. The exercise that I use a lot to practice that is called a rudimental breakdown, okay, and this actually used to be part of all the snare drum competitions back in the day, where people had to memorize all 40 PAS rudiments, and the adjudicator would call any one of those 40 rudiments.
Right.
And they had to play it from a slow tempo up to the fastest tempo they possibly can, and take a minute to build up to that tempo, and then a minute to slow back down.
Yeah.
Right?
And then they fall down and die.
Exactly, right? How that sounds if we start big and use our big gears, and you'll see me moving through the gears and changing my motions, and then increasing the size of the gears as I slow back down. So that looks like something like this.
I don't think that was a minute.
No, definitely not. I've definitely never done the minute test.
Oh my god.
But yeah, you can see how that forces you to know how to transition. And I could definitely hear parts in there where it sounded and felt like I was transitioning from one technique to the next too quickly. So what you do there when you get to those tempos is you push and you pull either side of that. So if you feel yourself changing too soon, you try and push and pull and smooth that out. All right?
Right.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Give that one a go. For you to make these technique changes is going to take a long time.
So much more, yeah.
Yeah, because you've practiced a certain thing for so long, and you can't just flick that switch. We all know that, right?
Yeah,
so all you can do now is try and make it sound as good as you can with what you've got at your own.
Yeah, I'm still. Right.
Yeah. So whatever tools you've got at your disposal now, you can just do your best with those.
Right.
All right.
It sounds so tiny. Yeah, I've already switched it up. And it's not going much past that. Yeah, alright. I've got a bass line.
Exactly. So there you go. That's where you're at. And that's one of the most important things. Otherwise, it's like, how do you see progress? If you don't have a recorded bass line of this is where I'm at, then how do you see progress, right? So, so that's a really great exercise.
I will say I'm exaggerating for the camera.
But that's also the thing about a pad. A pad is so unforgiving. So if you can make it sound good on here, like this, on a drum is going to sound massive. All right? So... One other thing that you mentioned earlier that I haven't really touched base on at all is crescendoing through a roll.
Right.
Okay, so as you're getting bigger, what you need to do is obviously move faster through the air because you've got to move a greater distance while achieving the same tempo.
Right.
So you've got to start moving slowly. But ironically, you're going to get to a point where sort of here you feel like you're playing fairly light. Here, you feel like you're playing pretty strong.
Right.
Here, you need to feel like you're playing light again. All right, because otherwise that first stroke is just going to have too much attack, and you're going to get that thing going on, right?
That's what my roll sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. So lighter, bigger, faster, to play a bigger role, which is something that's a little bit hard. And you know, if you were to practice a single stroke, you don't need to do that. You just, all right, you can just play big, right? So what you actually need to do then is play a check pattern, okay? And so a check pattern is taking away as many technical imperatives as possible so that you can focus on the basic underlying principle, okay?
Okay.
So in this case, the basic underlying principle is move faster, but get lighter. So you need to practice like playing singles like that. All right, so here, although I'm really big, I'm not playing with a really strong sound. Because if I do that, which is how I probably want singles to sound, my doubles are going to sound like this. Okay? Whereas if I go like this and play a little bit lighter, and then add my doubles, once I eventually smooth them out, there we go.
Yeah.
That's what's underlying those double strokes. This is the velocity into the head here. All right. Cool. So that's kind of what you need to train yourself in, is how the singles feel, all right, in the crescendo, and then how that then affects the double stroke. And that can only lead to positive change. You know, providing you approach it the right way, of course.
And you spend more than like 10 minutes a month on it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, with anything, if you don't spend long enough on it, it's not going to get any better.
Right.
There you go. There's some ideas.
Awesome. Sweet.
No worries, man.
Invoice me.
Do you want any footage of me like playing stuff, or is that useful at all? Or
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I try and keep these down to 5 minutes.
Okay, so now that we've established all that, and I now have a ton of things to work on, I hope you guys have a good week. If you like the video, share and like the video, I guess. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want me to get into in future. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you can know what's going down. And that's all. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
There you go. That's a intro, I guess.